on, railways faced new competition and new problems. The first problem was road competition. The second problem was the establishment of the border in Ireland. The 6 counties of Northern Ireland remained part of Britain, whereas the other 26 counties became part of the newly established Irish Free State. Customs were set up, indeed at the railway's expense, and the Great Northern Railway of Ireland was expected to provide customs facilities at stations where the railway crossed the border. This was a great thing for the ordinary population because where tariffs differed, it gave a great excuse for people to smuggle. Many ordinary items were smuggled. For example, tea, sugar, cigarettes, whiskey, even sometimes dried fruit, butter. And this led to many situations, some of which were quite amusing. There's the famous story of a smuggler who frequently crossed the border wearing a rather large hat, brimmed hat. The customs knew that this guy was a regular smuggler, so they decided to teach him a lesson. So what they did one day was they brought him off the train, brought him into the customs office. It was a day in the middle of winter. They had a large fire in the office. They sat him down by the fire and started to chat and question him. And of course, as the heat of the fire got hotter, the butter began to melt. The oily butter began to run down his face. He had to pretend nothing was happening. The customs men pretended nothing was happening. And there he sat until all the butter ran down his face, which was, of course, to teach him a lesson. But sometimes very ordinary things could be smuggled, and that was, believe it or not, bicycle tubes. At one stage, bicycle tubes were more expensive in the Republic, and people smuggled them into the Republic. What they did was they stuffed the bicycle tubes down what were called the drop lights of the carriage. Now, in old-fashioned carriages, you could lower the windows with a leather strap. When you lowered them, there was a gap between the two parts of the door, and you could sneak the bicycle tube in there, and it was a perfect place for hiding them. Smugglers were quite proficient, indeed even sometimes railway staff actually indulged in such activities. Indeed, even the Great Northern Railway itself assisted smuggling because during the war, when a lot of goods in Northern Ireland were rationed, goods in the Republic were obviously not rationed, and the GNR ran mystery trains from Belfast at least once a week. Why were they mystery train? Well, nobody knew where they were going, but everybody knew they were going to somewhere in the Republic. So people would be entrained in Belfast and end up in Dublin or Drogheda, Cavan, Monaghan, wherever. And they could shop to their heart's delight. And of course, the railway washed its hands of them. It was up to them to smuggle goods back into Northern Ireland. If they got caught, it was their problem, not the railway's problem. But there was one week actually when somebody who was rather naive in the operating department decided to send the mystery train to somewhere in Northern Ireland. And the patrons of the train were not amused when they were decamped somewhere in Northern Ireland rather than across the border.